I'm supposed to be doing something else right now, but this tag seems like a lot more fun. So, want to procrastinate with me? This is the Aesthetically Pleasing Book Tag. Woo, woo, woo. This was a really fun tag that I saw my friend Rosika from the Midnight Reader doing. I don't think of my books as overly aesthetic. I actually always make a joke that all the books I dislike have beautiful covers and they get 5 million editions, and all of mine are like janky. But digging through my books to do this tag, I noticed some kind of fun stuff. I'm like, okay, I dig. Anyway, let's get into it. The first one is best colors. So I have two for this category. First, I have the Journal of Best Practices by David Finch. And so you have these very eye-catching colors. You have this bold yellow and like a reddish orange title, cover, and highlights with the contrasting blue. And I think they did a really good job on this because I think yellow and red can be very garish looking colors, but I think they stand out but are still aesthetically pleasing. So I really like that for this cover and for this book, even though I wouldn't say it's like my number one cover pick. I can appreciate what they did here. They have a good design going on. The second book I have for this colors section is The Ghost Notebooks by Ben Dolnick. And so hopefully it's going in focus for you. But you got this really cool, trippy double image of this woman, and it is done in neon pink and a neon blue, which again, you have those contrasting color set and this really striking image that is emphasized via the colors. And I just think it's really nifty and makes the book stand out. I think too often nowadays, like in a particular genre, a type or style of cover art will become popular and then there'll be 5 million books like it. And you're like, I can tell from a distance that's a romance, but I would never be able to tell you which book it is. So I love it when they do simple but intriguing design. The next one was best typography. And I have to say, I didn't find a whole lot of stuff in my book collection that really matched this. I don't think I had any that had really crazy fun typography. I think that's partly because a lot of times books that are typography focused on the covers don't have a lot else going on, and that's just not normally my vibe or aesthetic. But I did, for this category, choose The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which I haven't read, but I love what they did, which was so simple with the typography, which is just putting down the middle the title and author to kind of further emphasize that divide between the two main characters. And so super simple, but I think effective and also still legible. You know, if it had been a longer title or less obvious wording, that could be maybe hard to read, but I think they did a good job with this, where they played around with the typography, but they didn't do something wacky that didn't make sense. Next, we have best simple cover. I chose for this one Gulp by Mary Roach. And so it's just straight to the point, perfectly in line with the title and obvious. You got an entire just open mouth here. And the subtitle, for those who would like to know, is Adventures on the Almatary Canal. And so that's kid and caboodle what this whole book is about. And not only does the title share that, but the imagery is evocative, but immediately just shouts out what this book's about. Like, I don't think anyone is leaving confused as to what you're gonna get when you pick up this book. So I love it. Like I said, I like bold covers. If you have noticed the pattern. Best end pages. This was a hard one for me. I don't prefer hardcovers. I'm not a huge fan of them. And so I have very few of them, and it's normally because I got them for free or for cheap. The ones I just so happen to have don't have a lot of end covers. But then I found this bad boy, and it was extra pleasant surprise because it's a mass market paperback, which normally doesn't have end covers at all. So this is Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee at King Arthur's Court, which already just has a cool cover, which is part of the reason why I got this edition. And then when you flip it open, hello there, Mark Twain, how you doing? So you have this photo of an engraving of Mark Twain. And it's just a really detailed, cool artwork of him. And just a fun little surprise, because again, you don't see it coming. You're not expecting uncovers on one of these guys. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, I guess I do have an uncover example for this category. What do you know? Best map. I'm not a geography girly, so I've read a lot of fantasy that has maps, but I just casually glance at them, or I read like a history book about a certain region, they have maps, and I just like keep going. I don't know. My brain just flatlines when I see a map normally. So I really appreciated Carry On by Rainbow Rowell because it didn't need a map, to be honest. It's not showcasing a whole fantasy region or continent or anything crazy. It's a very low-key small map, but it's got a very pretty design, and it showcases some of the building locations at, you know, the school and things like that. And that was just nice and lovely. And I don't know, I do better with smaller maps of smaller areas. I thought that was just, you know, fun little, I guess it's not an Easter egg, but, you know, addition that didn't have to exist, but I'm glad it does. There we go. Best Naked hardcover. Again, I don't care for hardcovers a whole lot, but if I must dabble in a hardcover, I do prefer hardcovers where there's no dust jacket. Like the cover is on the book as the Lord intended. It makes no surprise to you maybe that my favorite cover for this would be Carve, A Simple Guide to Whittling. And hello, it's just all right here. Super simple. What you see is what you get. There's no dust cover to be ripped or torn or taken off and then lost somewhere. And you even have the indentation on the word carve. That's just super, like just a small detail that's just super fitting. And yeah, I'm all about that life. And of course, on the back, you get a good picture of the different elements you can be taught how to whittle from the book. And it's like, yes, solid job, solid design. Like I love that because it's still aesthetically pleasing, but it's informative. And that's how it should be, in my opinion. Okay, so for my best book back, I have 1,000 Steps into Night by Tracy G. So I haven't read this one yet, but I love the design. And then when you flip it to the back, boom, Demon Prince guy, hello, how are you doing? And I just think that's super cool because this is another, from my understanding from the summary, another main character or primary character in the book, which is always fun to see illustrated in a similar style. So you get this nice flow between the front cover and the back cover, but gives you a nugget of new intrigue or information. And that's what drew me to actually reading the summary. So it's fitting for what is within the book, but it also strikes like an interest level of like, ooh, hey, what's going on here? I need to know more. And yeah, so something super simple, but really effective. I was just like so drawn in by it. And I think that's what a good book all around should be doing. It's a yes and situation. So you see the cover and the title and you're like, ooh, yes. And then you flip to the back and you see whatever imagery is there and you're like, yeah. And then you read the summary and you're like, yes. And then you read the first page and you're like, ooh, yes, you're coming home with me. Anyone else like that? That's how I do it. Best chapter headers. I didn't have a great one for this. Perhaps I just missed it when I was flipping through quickly my books. But I will say Bitter Blue, which is one of the Graceling books by Kristen Kishore, has these key illustrations for the chapter headings that I think are pretty nifty. I like that you have that cool little detail that does apply to the overall story, but still legible, which is important. And it makes it a little easier when you're flipping through to find the start of each chapter. So I like that. I don't know if that was the something they were thinking of when they did that, but I appreciate that. There's nothing worse than having a hard time flipping through trying to find what you're looking for. So yeah, that's what I got for that. Best illustrations. So I have a few choices for this category. Very different style of illustrations. So I just had a lot of fun picking stuff out. So first I have Ignore Everybody and 39 Other Keys to Creativity by Hugh McLeod, and which is very fitting. He is a pretty successful copywriter turned like what would you call it? Online illustrator? Cartoonist and pundit. And so he's giving advice within this, but then he also sprinkles throughout his own work, which is cool because I didn't know anything about him or his work. So it was nice to see that. And it was a nice addition to what he was saying within the text. So good job. My Lady's Choosing. This is such a goofy fun book, and the illustrations just add another layer to that. Let me see if I can find one that's not super spoilery. But you just get these fun drawn out illustrations because it's an interactive romance novel by Kitty Curran and Larissa Zagaris, and so you get to choose which guy you're gonna try to pursue or not guy. And yeah, just figure out depending on what plotline you choose. Work it out, get your lover, survive, and it's a ridiculous old time. I'm a fan. I love this because everything in this book is just so extra and over the top and doesn't need to exist, and totally playing into popular romance stereotypes. So you have, you know, suave man leaning on expensive art, cliche, stereotype, and yeah, so like I think it was perfect. I just, you know, I love that they decided to include illustrations with that one. And finally for this category, I have a Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. This was actually a book I read back in college, and it's got these beautiful images of just nature and animals and birds. And yeah, it was a very zen read, and then getting to see some of the things that he was writing about was just a lovely addition that I think really added a lot to the book. Best spine. So truly this is best everything, let's be honest. When I saw that they were doing a new edition, I had to get it. Ooh. Come on, come on, come on. No matter how you feel about the author, come on. This art, hello. And I got it at the bookstore, so I got it used and with my employee half off. So I got it all these bad boys for $25. Like, come on. The spines line up to make Hogwarts. Speechless. I won't be taking these out, even though they also have cool front covers and back covers, because your girl doesn't want to struggle to get them back in. But then, like, look at the box, like, oh, yes. Look at this other side. Yes. Is it doing the most? Yes. Love. Love, love, love. That's the one thing where it's like, this feels like a real piece of art, and I'm dying that I was able to get it for such a good deal. And we have one more section, favorite covers. So this is just, you know, a nice little rounding it off for the aesthetically pleasing. So I just chose 3 to be representative. I haven't read this short story collection yet, but this cover is so wild and trippy and like maximalist horror, sci-fi, just going balls to the walls, all out. And hello, like, how can you not look at this? You're like, whoa, what is this about? So this is Harlan Ellison, his like short story collection called The Beast That Shouted Love at the Heart of the World. He is a very wacky dude, but like, come on, like, there's a little woman in the mouth of a skull with not mushrooms, with like sciencey gadgets all around it and wires, like, insane. I feel like I discover something new about this cover every time I see it. This was such a cover purchase for me. Totally judge a book by its cover. It was just, again, so eye-catching. I like really cool bold covers that are unique. And it's like you have this naked person with like yarn wrapped around their face. It was just, it opened so many questions for me. I'm like, oh my God, what? How? Yes? What? And I actually really loved it. I read it recently, and on paper, it's a book I shouldn't have liked, and I really liked it. So sometimes there is a happy ending when you are shallow. And finally, we have See You Again in Pyongyang, A Journey into Kim Jong-un's North Korea with Travis Jepson. So this is nonfiction. Just look at it. Oh, like the typography flows really well with this like traditional North Korea propaganda art. And while I'm, you know, I don't have to say I don't I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm not for North Korean politics, but I don't know, there's something just so appealing about their nationalist art style that just feels very heroic and honorable, even though that's not the reality. I still love and appreciate the art. Again, you have this very striking, so artful and powerful, and just like, oof, this is good. This is good. This is good. All right. We made it to the end, folks. I'd love for you to tell me what beautiful artistic or aesthetic books you own. What kind of things are you drawn to in the look of a book? And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.